morning, virtual villagers. You caught me on the hop there. Did you see what I did? For bunnies hop, because I'm pre-loading my pom-pom makers to make life a little bit easier for you. So I hope you're all well this morning. I'm not sure whether school holidays have started where you are. They don't start with us till next week. But what I'm going to show you today, the pom-pom bunny, is a little cutie like this. Isn't he gorgeous? I'm going to show you several tricks to make it slightly easier. Dead easy to make with kids because it's just some very simple sticking and gluing and cutting. So these are cute. These are so cute. And there's several things you can do to make them a bit more difficult for yourself, or just keep it dead simple. So we'll start with what you need. Well, the first thing you need is wool, yarn, I should say. If you're a fibre art, if you're into your fibre art, you know the difference between wool and yarn. Yarn is what this is, and wool is made from wool. Anyway, not enough of the technicalities. My bunny there, as you can see, I've made him a lighter coloured belly. You can do that. You don't have to do it, but it's nice. So the one I'm going to make for you is grey and white. Just to make it slightly different. You can see he's got felt ears, so they're just cut out from felt and glued on. He's got felt feet, and he's got a pom-pom tail. The eyes, they're a bit difficult to see unless I turn them. They're buttons. I found some buttons that were just with a shank on the back, so no holes. And I've just put a tiny little dot of white paint in the middle of them. The one I'm going to show you now, I'm going to use toy eyes and glue them in, just because they're nicer. I've got quite a selection now of toy eyes, so I've got coloured ones like that, and I've got plain. I'm not sure if I've got any plain ones in here. I've also got little pink noses as well, but I'm going to use felt for the nose. That's a little nose. And these are my plain black eyes. So I'm going to use these. And in the grey wool, they'll stand out more than they do in the brown. So I'm going to, can you see they've got like a little shaft on the side and a point. When you're knitting toys, you can put the point through, and then they have a little back on that you can put on to make them secure, so they are safe for children. I'm only gluing them on today, so I wouldn't recommend that they're given to small children. So I'm going to just take out 2 of those, so I've got them ready for when we get to that bit, and I'll put the rest of that away. So I've shown you the yarn, I've shown you the eyes. If you remember the old-fashioned way of making pom-poms, where you had 2 circles of card with a hole in the middle, and you fed the yarn through and then separate them, that was really difficult and time-consuming. These days, you get pom-pom makers. These are ace. These are they come in the pack I got of these had 4 sizes in, and I have quite a few packs now, a few sets, because I make them with other people. So that's the biggest one, and that makes the body size. I haven't got a ruler handy, so I can't even measure it for you. That's the next size down. That makes the head. So they all work in the same way. Where's the in-between size? There we go. This is the one I used for the tail. And then the smallest ones I've already wound on. I'm going to make pom-pom feet for this one, so it will have feet at the front instead. So I've already wound them on because that makes life a little bit easier. You also need a pair of sharp pointed scissors, small scissors, to cut your yarn. They need to be really sharp because you're cutting through lots and lots of layers of yarn. The other thing I've got here is my glue gun. I've glued them together. I'm also going to show, these are glued together. I'm going to show you how to fasten them another way that's a little bit more secure. I just feel the glue's a little bit not quite as strong. So what else will we need? I'm going to show you a way to make your pom-poms really fluffy. And to do that, you cut round a card template. So I've got circles cut. This is a stiffer card, so it's corrugated, it's quite stiff. It's about the size of my biggest, so that's the one for the biggest pom-pom. And this enables you to give them a good trim and get them really nice, a nice shape, particularly if you want to, my rabbit's got a flat face, but you can shape the face so it's more rabbit shaped, but you do need to cut round a template to do that. And I have found that the best shape to use, I put all my templates to one side, I can't find it now, is an egg shape, like that. Whoops. If you want to cut a bunny's head, because that shape is quite easily like a bunny, but I'm not going to do that today. Now let's see how far what else have I to show you. I think that's what I've got a darning needle as well, because that's handy for threading your two pieces of bunny together. Now I'm just gonna get your comments up, so if you're there, give me a wave and say hi. Oh, we've already got Pippa and Irene. Good morning, Irene. Right. Oh, the last thing, felt. I've got some colours of felt here. I've got the brown. I've used the brown to make the ears on the other bunny, but I've got some grey for my grey bunny, and I've got two colours of pink. I wasn't quite sure which would go best, so I got two colours of pink out. So without much further ado, I'm going to adjust my camera so you can see what I'm doing. So just bear with me a second. I've got a lot of wires today, so I have to be careful. Now, you'll also need a bin because you will be, I'm just going to adjust my chair as well. You will be cutting and trimming your pom-poms as you go. So this is a chunky yarn. Great if you're doing big pom-poms, because it winds on quicker. My first tip to you for pom-pom making is have more than one ball of your wool, so you can wind it on two strands at a time. Then put the two strands together, gets even three if you've got it. It winds on much quicker. You're not spending as long boringly winding round and round. And the other tip is match your wool to your project. So if you're making a big pom-pom, then thicker wool's better. If you're making one of these tiny ones, then thinner wool's better. So double knitting wool, an Aran wool, or chunky wool, depending on what you're making. Right, without further ado, we'll make our first pom-pom. This is our large size pom-pom maker. It's roughly, I think, about 3 inches in diameter, maybe a little bit more. Hold the two strands of wool on your pom-pom maker with your thumb, and then just start winding round. And you just wind round. It's dead easy. So we'll make it in a half. So this one we're going to fill with grey wool, because this is the main part of our body. When we get to the other half of this pom-pom maker, we're going to add the white in for his white belly. So you just keep winding. You can, your yarns don't have to even be the same colour. You can use a variegated mix. I think these actually might be two slightly different greys. And it's a good way of using up all those odds and ends. If you've got two colours that aren't quite the same colour, like two greys aren't quite the same, you can't use them in a hat or a scarf or something because it would show. But you can make a pom-pom, and you'll get a nice sort of mottly effect on your pom-pom if you have two slightly different shades. So I'm going to carry on. You can see how quick it is. It's not that as slow as you expect. The old-fashioned way of making it with two circles of card, it would take longer. Good trick for that, though, if you decide to do it with card. So you would cut a circle like that, then you would cut another circle in the middle, but just take a little wedge out of your circle. You'd need two, because you need to split it. But just take a little wedge out. I'm drawing on it, you can't see there. And that allows you to wind the wool a lot faster, so you're not having to go through the hole every time. So that's if you're making it with cardboard. Much more eco-friendly cardboard than than plastic. However, my pom-pom users will be reused over and over and over again. So that's how I justify getting a plastic one. It's not going in landfill. It's not single use. So we just keep winding. Funnily enough, the lady who's producing the video today said to me, can you make all of that in one session? And this is why you can make it in one session, because you use these quick tips to make it quicker. Quick tips to make it quicker. Does that make sense? So once you've got half of your pom-pom looking fairly straight along that edge, it could probably do with a little bit more winding on, but you don't want to watch me winding. So then we close up that half, fits really securely. We trim this off so it's level there, so we don't have long ends sticking out, and then we do the other half. Now we want about a third of this to be white for his belly, so I'm going to start with the grey and I'm going to wind it all on one end. I always find at this point you need 3 hands to hold it on just while you do the first couple of winds, because it can quite easily slip off. I'm hoping I'm going to have enough grey wool now. I've got another bowl, so that'll be all right. This is when it starts to get tangled. So I'm going to carry on winding over about just over halfway. So just about 2/3 in the grey. If you don't want to put a lighter coloured belly on your rabbit, you don't have to. You could just make 2 pom-poms all the same. But this is really nice, and it's dead simple. It's not going to make it more complicated. If you're doing it with smaller children, you might want to just get them to make just plain pom-poms. And the other thing is, they don't have to be this size. You can make it smaller. As long as the head and the body are 2 different sizes. Otherwise it would look a bit odd. But keep winding this until it's filling up. And it is, as I say, great for kids and a great way of using up your odds and ends of yarn. And as I go along through this demo, I'm going to show you some tips that make it just that little bit better and easier to do things. So like winding it on with, I'm just going to pop that to one side and start the white. So again, I've got 2 balls to make it quicker. And then I'm going to just hold that with my thumb while I start the winding. Once you've started winding it on, then it should hold that in place. Try and keep your grey off to one side. And I'm going to wind a little bit over the grey and then thicker towards the edges. Remember to go all the way up to this edge, otherwise you'll have an oval shape instead of a round. It will be slightly oval anyway, but we are going to trim it, so we're not going to worry about the shape. But we do want it to be fairly full, so I think that's enough white. I'm going to go back to the grey, so I'm just going to snip that off again at the top of what's going to be the top of my pom-pom. Oops, this is when I start to get a bit tangled. Right, fill it up with some more grey. Doesn't matter if you go over the white, because that's it's all going to mix together when we cut it anyway. So I'd say that was pretty full. So then again, you just close your pom-pom maker up, trim it off again, pop that grey to one side and pop the white there, because I'll use that again later. Now the next thing you need is a piece of your yarn to tie up your pom-pom. So I go with about 8 inches and pre-stretch it, because you want it most of the stretch taken out of it so it doesn't loosen up. But quite a lot of people watching today. I think this is quite a popular one. Right, so now we're ready to cut our pom-pom. This is always the difficult bit. Two things to remember is you're cutting between. So where you two, you've got your gap there, you want to cut between your circles. and it's, you need to cut every single strand all the way through. It can be a bit difficult. That's why I recommend sharp scissors. So you can see sometimes the strands stay across. Just make sure, it's only because when you come to tie them, if you've not cut all the way through the strands, it will make it difficult to tie. It's quite easy cutting between these discs, a lot easier than a cardboard disc, which is why I recommend the pom-pom makers. These are the best type. You can get another type that like a flat disc. I'm not sure if I've got any out because I don't use them very often. No, I haven't got one out because they are more difficult to use. So that's your pom-pom. You can already see it's starting to look like a pom-pom. Cut through all the strands. We've made sure of that. Now, what we need to do now is where there's the groove down here, we want to tie our thread, our pre-stretched thread, around there. So what I'm going to do is put it all the way around to the top. Making sure it's all the way in between and not slipping away to one side. So now at that point I'm now going to pull it tight, and you'll feel it pull tight around the core of your pom-pom. I'm going to pull them back to the other side, pull them again. Now this is tip number, whatever number we're on now. You tie an ordinary knot, but then wrap your yarn again through, because that apparently produces a non-slip knot. I didn't know, it was an internet tip. And then I'm going to tie another one like that. Try and stop your pom-pom swinging. Okay, so that's our first pom-pom. Where with these pom-pom makers now, where they join there, there's this little tab, and you just flip the tab up. It's really gripping the wool. Why not cut it all the way through? There we go. So we flip the tabs up on both sides, and then you just pull the two circles apart. It's hard. This one's quite stiff. There we go. And they just pop back together like that, ready for the next one. Fold them up, pop that to one side, and there's our two coloured pom-pom. So you can see we've got a nice bunny belly. It's a little bit uneven, but that's fine because we're going to trim it. So I'm just going to pop that one to one side while I wind on the one for the head. Now we're going to make the head all in one colour, all in grey. And I'm going to hope I've got enough grey yarn there. I'm tipping it over the side of the table because it's easier for it to unwind. So this is our next size down, which is about 2 inches in diameter. And once again, I'm going to just wind on my wool. I should have done it earlier, but you'll just have to watch me winding. Hold it with my finger. Hold it in the way that it's comfortable for you to wind. Sometimes I find if I'm winding the other way, I find it quite difficult, and I can do it a lot faster this way. So you keep winding till you've filled up both sides of your pom-pom maker again. I don't know what the weather's like with you. It's horrible here this morning. It's rainy and grey, and we've had such a lovely weekend. It's been really nice. So I don't know what you've got in your weather. Pippa's saying about where do you buy your pom-pom makers? There's several brands. The ones I'm using just now, these are my second best set. These are from a certain Chinese company. My other ones, my other set, you can feel the difference. The other set are a clover, and they're really good quality plastic. They're a lot heavier. You can feel the difference, a lot more solid. But because I do little workshops and make pom-poms in them with people, make things out of pom-poms, I should say, I have several sets. I tend to use the clover ones myself, and the other sets not as often. So the clover ones get a lot more wear, which is why I spent a little bit more money buying them. but I have bought them in a certain supermarket that has middle aisle crafty stuff. You know what I mean? Which is where I quite often buy my yarn as well. So that's, you can get them on the internet, obviously. You can get them from the likes of Amazon. One of my balls has run out now, so I'm just carrying on. It doesn't matter if one of your little balls of yarn runs out, just carry on with the single one or add another one in. Just takes a bit longer. Please bear with me. Be kind. So the next stage I'm going to show you is how to trim your pom-poms into shape. Because as you could see with the one I made, there's quite a few long ends, and by trimming it closer, you get a more dense pom-pom, and it's sturdier. If you were going to be using them on, say, a pom-pom wreath, which I've done, I've just taken my pom-pom wreath off the front door actually, because it's all done in sort of Scandi neutral winter colours. That's my winter one, and I've just put my spring one up with my flowers and birds on it. So we've had a bit of a change because it's Easter coming, and I've put my Easter eggs on the tree that I made. I'm going to need some more grey there, so bear with me. Grey is not a colour I use very often, so it's nice to use up the odds and ends of grey yarn that I've got. Now look, you see I've gone the other way there, and winding it in the opposite direction. I find that less easy for me. It's not as intuitive, but I'm going to carry on till I filled it up. I'm trying to read, but I've got the wrong glasses on. Everybody's asking about the pom-pom makers, because there's such, I mean, anybody who's my age, and I'm 59 now, will remember making pom-poms with my grandma out of 2 pieces of card, and once you had to push it through the hole in the middle, so you couldn't have a ball like this because it wouldn't go through, and it was really a quite laborious process, but this is much better. There we go. So that's that pom-pom done, and I'm going to just cut off my strand to tie it with and give it a bit of a stretch so that it doesn't stretch after you've put it on. That's the thing. We'll snip through our layers. It is quite important that you do have a good pair of sharp scissors, because you're cutting through a lot of layers. If your scissors aren't quite as good as these, you can just snip them in bits. But you see, this is where it's important you get through the strands. If we didn't go through those strands, we wouldn't be able to tie it off. So I'm going to tie this one between the round plates, give it a tug, and then do my double non-slip knot. That's hard to say. If you hear my dog barking, it's because he's decided he can't get down the stairs on his own. All of a sudden, when he's been doing it for 18 months, and he needs somebody to pick him up and carry him. So again, we just pull the tabs up and loosen the and then pull it apart. These are a bit stiffer than the other ones. They don't want to come apart. Yeah, that pulls them up. That's not done very well. Right, I'm not. I need to either practice with these a bit more or use my other set. So, and again, it is slightly out of shape. This is the next stage now. So I'm going to use my card circles I've got cut out. I've got one set of these for each of my pom-poms, each size of my pom-poms. So where's the big one? Oh, there's the egg that I was looking for earlier. These are the biggest ones. Now what I like to do is use my darning needle to pull the 2 strands that I used to tie it with through the hole in the middle of my template, just because, so you can see there's a hole in it. That gets them out of the way so you don't cut them by accident, because you might need them later. So then what you do is flatten out your pom-pom, squidge it tight between the templates, try keeping your tails out the way, and then you just, so it looks like an ice cream sandwich, you just trim in line with the edges of the cardboard. As I say, some edges are longer than others, so you're getting all the long ends off. I have got a bin down here, don't think I'm just throwing it on the floor. And then what we want to do is pom-pom, squidge it the other way. So again, I'm going to try not to cut my long ends off. I'm going to flatten it slightly. I'm actually going to stick them in between. Flatten it slightly. Again, and any end it's wanting to scoot out. I'm just going to again trim off these ends. It just makes it a more I've just realized I've used the wrong size template for this, because this is the medium sized pom-pom, but the big template. It doesn't matter. Roll it between your hands, and there you've got a denser. And then the other thing you can do is, if you've got like a brush, you can brush the ends and make them fluffier. So that's my head. I'm going to do the same with my body one. Make sure I use the right size of template. Get rid of the fluff. So I'm going to flatten it out that way and that way. Tuck in the tail underneath. Put on my templates. Now this one, it's quite a lot to trim off. You want the body to be quite dense, because it needs to stand upright. So I'm giving it a good trim. It's like, I wish I could trim a dog as easy. I have a dog that needs grooming, and he hates it, and he won't let me brush him, and he won't let me go anywhere near him with a pair of scissors. So it costs me a fortune every month to get him groomed. He won't even let me cut the hair on his face, which he really should, because it grows into his eyes. So as you can see, I'm cutting quite a bit off this one, but it is going to give us a really nice smooth body and be a bit denser, like shearing a sheep. Actually, pom-pom sheep would be good as well. I'm trying to get it to be even all over, but I'm not very good at this bit. There, right, so let's get rid of this fluff. Give him a roll. And then we can see you might need a bit of a trim the other way. So I'm going to flatten it so that the tails are sticking outside. By doing it both directions, you get all the strands. But this time I'm not going to cut it so close. I'm just going to nip off the long ones. Just to give it a bit of a tidy up. There we go. So you can see the difference in it already. It's closer, tighter, fluffier. I quite like that. If you compare it to this one, again, when I squish them, if I do it that way, I can feel a difference anyway. It's very difficult to get that across on camera. So that is our body. Goes that way. And that is our head. and it sits on top like that. Now, I glued mine, the one I showed you earlier. This one, I'm going to sew the head onto the body because I did find it was a little bit wobbly with the glue because the glue doesn't go right to the centre. So what I'm going to do is I'm taking the two long ends that I used to tie it together. I'll thread one of them through my darning needle. Then where I want my head to sit, I'm going to poke my needle right through my pom-pom and out the other side. Can you see? Like that. And then I'm going to go back up the same, well, not quite the same way because obviously you don't want to go through the same bit of pom-pom. And then I'm going to tie those two together. So the one that I've used and the one I haven't used, I'm going to tie them together. Just because that, I think it gives you a firmer body. And again, you can use your non-slip knot for your last knot. And then we'll trim off the long ends and trim off the long ends from the back. And he's starting to look like a bunny. Okay, so next step is the ears and the feet. And I've cut out little templates of cards just to make it slightly easier, but the shapes are basically quite simple. So the ear shape, that's the ear shape. I've cut that one, that's the outer ear, and I've cut the same shape but smaller for the inner ear. So then I can do a pink inner to the ear. And when I cut out my felt, we're using the grey this time, I like to double it so that my shapes are the same. So I'm just going to cut a strip off this felt like that. I'm going to do the outer ear first, the grey one. So all I do is just fold it over. Now, you could put your template on it, you could draw around it, or as I do, I just cut around it by holding it on like that. So I'm going to cut round my template. And I've got two little felt ears then that are the same size. Just smooth them out a little bit. That's it. So those are my outer ears. And I'll use this pale pink. And again, I'm going to cut a strip off just to make it a little easier. This is my smaller template. So I'll fold that over and cut round it. I haven't put a template on to download, but on the previous session I did of bookmarks for children to do, I think that was in February, there was a template there with rabbit shapes on it, so you can always use that. Then we just simply glue. Glue's dribbling everywhere. I'm using hot glue today. You don't have to use hot glue. I'm just using it because it's quick. You can use PVA craft glue if you prefer, but it will take a while to dry. You'll need to leave your ears to dry. So I'm only putting a little bit on, just enough to make it stick. And just be very careful. If you're doing this with the children, I would recommend you use PVA just because the hot glue is hot. Now, before I go any further, when I said earlier on about my eyes with little white dots on, I'm going to put them on now because it gives it time to dry. So this is a chalk pen. It's white. You just give it a shake and prime it by get the paint to come out because it doesn't always come out straight away. You would just put a little white dot like that, just to give your eye a little bit of a gleam. And I'm going to set them to one side to dry because I don't want to be touching them and smearing it. So can you see I've just put that little white highlight on it, and I'll pop them there to dry. Right, where have we got to? We've done the ears, so the next thing's the feet. I'm going to do pom-pom feet on this one. I didn't on the other one, but I think the pom-poms are a little bit more stable. Now this is my smallest pom-pom maker, and I've already filled up 2 of those because I thought, you'll have had enough watching me wind stuff on now. I'm going to cut off some of the white yarn to tie them. So I'll snip these through. I've used a chunky wool on this, so I've used less strands, and they're thicker. So now, if you don't want to use pom-pom yarn, the shape I used for the feet, felt feet, is just like a footprint shape. Give that a stretch. Then I always find the small ones are quite fiddly to do as well. And as I say, you get to the stage where you think you need another pair of hands, or at least fingers, maybe an extra set of fingers. So pull that tight and tie it again. Take that apart. These ones are proving quite stiff. Now with the feet, they're going to be flattened against the bunny, so I'm just going to give them a quick, take off these long ends and give them a quick trim round. I don't have a very small template. I find it quite fiddly with a small template. So I'm just going to freehand these. But we do want them quite close. Can you see what I'm doing here? So I will just get rid of the bits. So going back to our bunny, the feet are going to sit there, one there. I just, where his white belly goes, I'll put one on either side. And I'm going to glue them just because it's difficult to feed it through at that side. Where's the other foot gone? There it is. Bear with me a sec while I snip this open. Now for the tail, it's the next, this is the smallest size of pom-pom maker. For the tail, it's the next size up, which is still quite small. Is this one. I'm going to tie that again. Pull it tight. I don't know which way I went then. I'll go back round that way and tie it again. You sometimes will spin a little bit when you're tying it, and then you forget which way you've tied it. Right. These are my older pom-pom makers, and they are easier to open. They pull apart a bit easier. Right. And again, I'm going to give it a bit of a haircut. It does, the shorter the strands, the fluffier and more dense they are. And we don't want them to be huge for the feet. So I'm going to use the glue this time. I'm going to cut off the long lengths we tied it with. Okay, and I'm going to put one there and one there. So either side of his belly and slightly to the bottom. But I'm going to just squish them down to get a flat side before I put the glue in, just to make it a little bit easier to stick them on. So that's to one side of his white patch. Hold it. Yeah, and same with the other one. Flatten it slightly. So the glue's quite near the centre. And to the other side of his white patch. And then fluff them up a little bit So you can see it's got 2 white feet. I haven't made a pom-pom tail ready, but the pom-pom tail obviously goes at the back and you stick it on in the same way. So now we're ready to finish his face. The first thing I always put on is the nose because you can centre everything round it. Now the nose is very easily made. So we'll go back to our pink felt. I'm going to cut off a generous size corner, make a triangle, and then I'm going to round off the corners, the points on the triangle. So it's almost like a heart shape with a top, flat top. There. So that's the shape we're looking for his nose. Again, dab of glue. And then I'll turn him to face me slightly because it's easier to position the nose so it's the midline of the belly, midline of the face. Put the nose on. There. Now you can see where the ears are positioned because they want to be either side of the nose but right on the top of the head. And again, I'm going to part the wool so I can get the ears in as close to the centre as I can. Glue on the ears, push them in, and then fold the wool back to hold it. Same with the other one. Make a little groove. Push the wool around it. So it's already starting to look really rabbit-like. So the last thing to go on are the eyes. It's got a bit flattened, but so the eyes. Oh, one's disappeared. That I painted. The dots have dried on them now, so I think, yeah. So you can see I've got a tiny little white dot in them. Now the eyes are going to go there and there to either side of his nose. Rabbits do tend to have their eyes slightly on the sides of their heads, but for this purpose, because we haven't shaped his head, I'm just going to put them in the middle. The glue I'm going to put right on that tip of the toy eye, and then, sorry, if I turn it around, try to turn it around and not burn my fingers. I'm going to push the eye in. If you've got sew-on eyes, they probably would be better. You can sew them right into the pom-pom then. Buttons, the same. Ow, burnt my fingers. I always manage to burn my fingers. Now I've got glue all over my fingers and I'm trying to part the wool. It's all going to stick to me. But there we go. Just give that a few seconds to set. So cute. I love bunnies. I love pom-poms and I love bunnies. So this has been a really nice one for me. I'm going to very quickly do his tail. I feel he needs to have a tail. I've got 2 balls of white, so it should be quite quick to make up. And then the other thing you can do is put a ribbon around its neck. And I just want to show you, when I've done this, I want to show you a couple of other ways to display your bunny that I've done over the past, and when I've done these in the last couple of years, I've done them and I've put them outside. I have a little porch, and it has a little table on it, which has my tree on it, my twig tree, and I redecorate my twig tree for the seasons, and I change my, excuse me, I'm losing my voice. I change my door wreaths for the seasons. So I've just changed them all over to Easter ones just yesterday morning. And I have my pom-pom bunnies outside on the table with the tree. The tree's got eggs on it, and the pom-pom bunnies sit below it. Right, let me just quickly put his tail on. I hope you've enjoyed this. And I hope you see that, you know, pom-poms are not just for putting on hats. Last year as well, I made hedgehogs out of the pom-poms, which required quite a bit of shaping. So when I was looking for something for children to do, I thought this is better because it doesn't require as much shaping of your pom-poms. The mixing of the colours as well is a good thing. You can make all sorts of different shapes and patterns with your mixing colours. I've done them so that they look like flowers as well, which is quite nice. Right. So that's our tail. So you can see it's slightly bigger than the feet. I'll just give that a quick trim. The long ends are where you start and finish. And if your winding on is slightly uneven, so you concentrate more on the middle, that's when you get the sort of oval shape to it. But the trimming works really well. Right. So I'm going to sew this. So I've got my darning needle, and I'm going to thread as I did before, just one piece of the tie through. And I'm going to push it through the middle. You can feel the middle with the needle, the tight bit in the middle. And then pull it right through. As long as you get it through the core, it will, you can adjust it then when you tie the knot. So I'm going to pull it so it's flat bottom, it's sitting proud, and then I'll just trim the long ends off, so you can see it's not underneath, it's sitting off to one side. So there's his pom-pom bum. So it's finished. I actually think I might just put a little bit of a nice bright green ribbon on around his neck. Not too tight, because obviously you don't want it to disappear inside the pom-pom. I'm just going to I'm not going to tighten a bow because I haven't cut it long enough, but I shall just give it a little. There we go. So there's our two rabbits, Mr. and Mrs. Bunny. Slightly different methods. As I said, the felt feet are probably a bit easier if you're doing it with little ones. This one's a bit fatter. They've both got their nice pom-pom tails. Aren't they cute? I love Easter. I love pom-poms. This is all, you know, brilliant for me. This weekend, I've done I only do 2 craft fairs a year, and they're the ones in my local village hall. And one was this weekend, the spring one. So I made lots and lots of crocheted bunnies to sell, and I sold nearly all of them. So I was quite pleased. I like them to go to a nice home. So what do you think? Pom-pom bunnies. I've been on longer than I said I was going to be, but that's me done. Just bear with me while I turn this camera back up so you can see me. Hello. Right, so pom-pom bunnies, enjoy. Make lots with your children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, whoever small people that you might see over Easter. They are particularly nice if you're giving them as gifts. Package them up, you know, one of those nice cellophane bags that you get, gift bags, and pop a couple of chocolate eggs in with them. That's what we're doing. We're doing an Easter trail in the village this year, and we're going to hide things around I can't say too much in case people are watching. One last way to display your bunnies I was going to show you, and I forgot. This one. So this is lovely. It's like a bunny disappearing into a flower pot. It's only one, well, it's 2 pom-poms. There's a pom-pom tail and the body, and on the feet I've put toes out of the pink, because when he's sat upright, you can't see the feet, the bottom of the feet. So basically, I got a plant pot. I trimmed it a little bit. There's a circle of brown card. So where the rim runs, I've put the brown card there, cut a hole in it and put a carrot in, and then the bunny looks like he's diving for the carrot. I think they're cute. So that goes out on my porch as well. So that's a couple of presentation methods for your bunnies, if you like. And that's me done. I am away on holiday now. Well, next week for 2 weeks, and I'm back at the end of April. I have 2 sessions, and the first session is going to be on how to make paper flowers, and the second session is going to be how to make your paper flowers into a nice spring garland. So that's, I think it's the it's right at the end of April, but I'm sure they'll pop the date up for me. Right, well, I better get off and finish my bunnies. I hope you make bunnies, and if you do, let me know. It's been lovely session. I've really enjoyed it, and I'll catch up with you after my holiday.